Hey Husker Nation, welcome to another video from Just Two Dudes. My name's Louie.
My name's Seth.
Alright, so what we're going to talk about in this video is, I wanted to make this a week ago, but he can't quit playing video games long enough to make a video.
We had a lot of communication issues.
Oh, spare me.
We had communication issues.
Nope.
Yes, I was downstairs, but you could have said, let's do a video. You say I disappear, but you disappear too.
No, I'm in my room.
So am I.
Shut up.
We're doing the same thing I am. Besides the video game part.
What? Alright, so we want to talk about the spring game.
Now
that was a good
wasted
one.
a minute.
Oh, so what? They enjoy that stuff. First thing that popped out in my head from the spring game is Taylor Martinez.
That's scary.
It looked like a continuation of the Oklahoma game.
Yep.
The Texas A&M game.
Yep.
And the Washington game.
Yeah.
I watched him drop back, throw off his back foot, lob one up, and the safety basically dropped it.
He dropped it.
But the safety sat there the whole time, stared at him, and couldn't believe he threw him the ball.
And you know,
couple of good throws though. Couple of good throws in spots that were hard to get to.
The good throws are when he was on the run.
Mm-hmm.
Those were his good throws. One to Kenny Bell, and then he fitted another one into Brandon Kinney on the run pretty nicely.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, me and our friend David, who sometimes helps out with the videos, me and him were talking one night about Taylor Martinez when he struggles. You kind of disagree a little bit, but you know, Taylor Martinez ran a kind of like a no huddle. Passing offense, kind of like the Missouri offense in high school. Rarely did a lot of running and under center. And in games last year where he was horrible, it was like South Dakota State, Kansas, like horrible throwing. We all know about the end of the year. Let's stay out of that because that's kind of more injury related than anything. But when he was healthy, all his bad games when we were predominantly under center. And he was in the spring game too. I just think he can't throw under center. I don't think he can execute a passing game from under center.
You mean he can't drop back and use proper footwork?
He can't drop back with proper footwork while reading. That's why throws are behind, because he doesn't know how to set up his body. But in the shotgun, where he's used to and comfortable, I think he's he's a good passing quarterback. He's good. He's not great. He's not very good. But then again,
him back there in the shotgun, the fact what he can do with his feet.
It also brings a whole other element, because you know when he's under center.
Okay, so Taylor Martinez in the spring game. Really, even though they said they were keeping things basic, was
I honestly wished he wouldn't have played, because I kind of saw something like that coming, and that's the last thing you need.
Yeah.
I wish he would have just sat out. Honestly,
couple other comments on the quarterbacks.
Yeah.
Cody Green,
who we saw tonight.
Yeah, we saw the young man tonight. Can't ever say enough good things about what a team player he is. What a good role model he is. Just a nice kid.
Yeah.
But you've seen our videos before. Yeah. I don't ever see him playing significant minutes outside of injuries.
Yeah, I think in a way he's a more glorified LaTravis Washington.
I don't know about that.
What I mean by that is he has more ability and he might get playing time, but I think he's number 3 on the depth chart right now.
That leads us. Yeah, I just saw nothing from him in the spring game. Nothing.
It's the same thing we've seen from him his whole career. He throws a good deep ball when it's on the money. He throws a great deep ball, but he throws the ball too hard. His receivers can't catch it.
Same stuff. One interesting development we've talked about Taylor Martinez and Cody Green with several people, and we always keep hearing, oh well, Louie, they kept it simple. Mm-hmm. Well, if they kept it simple, how comes if you're new to Husker Nation and you went down to Memorial Stadium, you would have told us that Brion Carnes is hands down the best quarterback on the roster.
Now, there's a lot of things that could play into that. We don't necessarily know the defensive players he was playing against, but he executed very well, and he looked good.
What I'm saying is if they kept everything simple, why was Brion Carnes able to completely outshine the other two? You can say, okay, maybe he didn't play against the same defenses that the other two did.
Right.
Maybe he had a special young man on his team that the others didn't have. But anyway, I don't see anybody taking over Taylor Martinez. But this Brion Carnes, he has to be hands down your number 2. And we saw Cody Green as a freshman. We saw him as a sophomore.
Yeah.
Brion Carnes he looked unbelievable, actually.
He's the only one that looks like a true quarterback. You know, Taylor Martinez is an athlete playing quarterback. Cody Green, kind of along the same thing.
We need to not say that, because that kid had some special moments as a quarterback.
He did, especially throwing, but just he's not necessarily a quarterback,
right?
But Carnes is.
So, if things were to continue, you have on here that you actually see Brion Carnes challenging Taylor Martinez.
I do, but only...
I can kind of see it, too.
The only reason why I see him challenging Taylor Martinez is because Taylor... I don't know what's in his head. I don't know what's happening.
No, you're right. I see a challenge.
Because it's not just challenge from the skill. I still think the only way for Taylor Martinez to not be our starter is if he just crumbles. Really.
True. But there's other things too. There's team unity. There's who are the players.
I know that, and there's leadership and all that.
Did he ruin his chances as a team leader and somebody the team will rally behind by the last? By his performances down the stretch. Down the stretch last year.
But he is the best quarterback on the roster.
Absolutely, yes. On to the next thing. Rex Burkhead. I almost was saddened to see how good he looked the other day in the spring game. Truly saddened, actually, because he made it so obvious that there is no other running back.
Yet.
I mean, I know you got you are so high on this kid that you'll talk about.
I know. High on.
But it's like Rex Burkhead, and there is nobody else.
Yeah, it really. I mean, Austin Jones had a couple nice carries. I think Ty killed that.
No. Yeah, the little guy.
But he's not gonna be a part.
I'm just saying.
I know. But like Ty Kildow, I could see him getting maybe 2 or 3 touches. Potentially a game. He's a package guy. You can use him just because he can hide behind the offensive line. I played against him in baseball a couple times, and he hit a single, steal second, steal third, do it again, chase down everything. He's just one of the fastest people I've ever seen, and it translated into the spring game.
Okay,
he gets to
but
the
what
edge.
I'm saying is Rex almost made it look like that Barry Sanders was your starter and you and I were his backups.
And I agree.
We're not dissing on Rex, and it's not other people's fault they're not as good.
Right.
But he really...
Rex almost...
he looked so unbelievably good.
He looked quicker. He looked a little more elusive. He even looked
agility, quicker, speed.
And with Rex, he'll always have that great balance. He'll be able to break tackles. I honestly think that this coming next year... I think he could potentially be like a top 10 running back in the country. Maybe if we use him going under center, using more of like a power running game than last year, it'll really fit his style.
Okay,
or a more balanced running game, I should say.
I'm not ready to talk about more good stuff yet. Sometimes I like the negative stuff.
Go ahead.
I would like to discuss penalties. We had 19 of them in that game, and that's your spring game. And yes, I know several of them were called by Bo Pelini, the 15-yard penalties, and that's just funny. That's good stuff. But how many false starts did you still see? Yeah. And I just really wonder when that's going to come to a stop.
It has to.
It's atrocious.
Even Auburn and Oregon last year with the offenses they were running, you get false starts, you get holdings.
But here's a scenario. In Bo Pelini's second year, we watched a 1st and goal at Virginia Tech turn into a punt from outside the 30.
1st and goal inside the 5.
Okay, because of fumbles. I think there was a fumble on the play.
There was like a pitch or something.
And then penalties. And it's like it's the same stuff as we're entering year 4.
Yeah, and I said it all along.
And that easily comes from the top.
It comes from the top. But when you're talking about
the top.
It does, but I still think a lot of it has to do with the way Barney Cotton teaches his linemen.
That could be, but none of Barney's offensive linemen are carrying the rock.
We're talking about penalties.
We're talking about penalties and we're talking about fumbles.
Well, you haven't even mentioned fumbles yet.
I did too. The
Okay,
Virginia Tech thing. We're doing this. We're doing the exact same thing.
But it's like, as far as penalties go, it does start from the top. He's very high-tempered, very emotional, and his players do that. But I seriously think it's mostly Barney Cotton. They preach aggressiveness and tenacity on the offensive line, and that relates to wanting to get the head start on the play. And it relates to being a little more carefree and not really caring about what you do, pushing a guy late, shoving a guy. And it just... I think Barney Cotton, I really think he's most of the problem with the offensive line penalties.
That could be, and hopefully they've got him an assistant to help, John Garrison. Maybe it'll change.
I don't necessarily think that's an assistant to help. I almost think it's almost like the start of a replacement.
It could be.
Because Barney Cotton, his offensive lines have not been impressive.
No.
And if he can't do anything with the group of linemen we've been bringing in the next couple years, John Garrison, I believe, he might be being groomed to replace him down the line. That's a good point. It could happen.
So still having troubles with penalties and fumbles.
Yeah.
No other running backs have emerged. Tyler Legate scored 2 touchdowns. That was really cool to see the fullback in on the action.
It's always nice, especially a local boy here in Nebraska.
Jamal Turner, you go ahead. You've been sweating his you-know-what since...
You know, he was the first big commit of the class from last year. He just always was trying to bring recruits in and everything, trying to join the class. I've always loved Jamal Turner. And, you know, he made the position change, which I thought was a good move because he's a great athlete. That was really displayed the other day. He's very special, and I mean, he got up limping late in the game. I mean, who knows what's going to happen? Who knows if he's injury prone or whatever? But if he stays healthy, he could be a special player that could turn that offense and get the things really, really going.
Absolutely.
Because that's one thing we have really missed at the wide receiver position. I mean, Nate Swift was good.
We've missed that in the return game. We've missed that in the wide receiver game.
Our return game hasn't been bad, though. It hasn't been as bad as the wide receiver play.
But we haven't been housing kicks and punt returns like we should have been. This is Nebraska.
Yeah? I mean, you know, but like, we haven't had...
Not Iowa.
We haven't had a good receiver since Nate Swift.
No, Nate Swift was good. This kid has a potential to be like one of those Oklahoma players where as a sophomore he's got 81
that's what I'm saying.
14 and
that's what I'm saying. But Nate Swift was never explosive. He made great plays, he made big plays, but he wasn't explosive and special. He is.
I agree. Josh Mitchell and Andrew Green.
They played good.
Well, I thought Andrew Green played good. Josh Mitchell, he had a punt return.
Kickoff return.
Was it kickoff return down at our end?
Yep.
He had like the fastest feet I've seen at Memorial Stadium in a long time.
He looked what they call football fast.
Yeah. I don't know if he played all that well. I don't really remember.
I watched I watched the DBs.
I wrote it down because I couldn't believe how quick he could move his feet.
I watched the DBs because I kind of called him out in the last video. And, you know, I said the depth isn't as good as last year. And it's still not, but I don't think it's as big as a gap as I thought it was.
Okay, how much time we got?
We got about a minute left.
Eric Martin at defensive end was making plays all over the place.
Very surprising. I'm really, you know.
He was even on the interior, on the outside. The edge of the field, batting the ball down.
Yeah, which, you know, that's an interesting thing. I know you're not big on X's and O's, but having Eric Martin be able to be an every down guy in the Big Ten allows for so much blitzing and zone blitzing. You can drop a defensive end who was a linebacker who can be in pass coverage, and that just adds more to Bo's arsenal.
And we use the fullback, which was awesome to see.
And as always, we got to give a Jim Ebke shout out from here in Lincoln.
Hey, yeah. All right. Thanks, guys. Take care.